stood, huh?
Man, what? No jacket.
Argus, just how excited are you all to be down here and here for the SEC East Championship, basically?
It's fun, man. I mean, the magnitude of the moment. I'm gonna be honest with you, and you know, a lot of people might not like this statement. Never in a million years thought I would be in Lexington for an East deciding game. I just didn't. I thought it was too hard to get the type of players that could get you to that point, but I commend Mark Stoops tremendously, and I commend this administration, this university, for having the patience to let him get to this point. I think this is a lesson in the reverse of what we've seen in college football for a long time. Don't make the quick, brass decision. He continuously said he had a plan. He was trying to get to the point where he felt like this team could compete. And you look at players that he's developed on this team now that's becoming really good players and star players in this league. And I just think it's a testimony to the patient side of things that we don't usually see in college football.
You talk about developing talent. You're a defensive player yourself. Yeah. Josh Allen, I mean, they've got a lot on this defense, but Josh Allen is who people speak of the most.
Yeah.
Outside of Josh, who do you think is the defense's grit, really?
It's really the front seven, man. You know, I think Cash Daniels sets sort of a tone, and you have to have those type of guys on defense. Jordan Jones was an all-SEC player before. I look at the back end with Edwards and Westry with his big body type at the cornerback position. So when you look on the field, you see professional athletes. And I'm not sure if you could always say that about Kentucky, like down throughout a roster. There's always been 2 or 3 good players that would play well anywhere. But, I mean, you look at this roster, you got probably 2 or 3 guys on the offensive line that'll be, you know, no later than 3rd to 4th round picks. You look on the defensive line, obviously, I think Josh may end up being a top 15 pick this year with his production and the way he's playing and the trend of how the NFL is going now with those type of guys. So it's been fun to watch, man. I remember coming here and seeing Beatty and Westry out there at cornerback. I'm like, dang, they 6'2", 6'3", physical corners, big bodies. You see that happening, and it's fun for me, man, because I've always been a big proponent of guys developing into what they could become. Like, Josh is at his ceiling in college, and you see his ceiling is a lot higher than a lot of other guys around the country, and he came in as really no position. I mean, unknown. So I give a lot of credit to Stoops and this coaching staff for getting guys in the right position so they can secure their future, but also making this football team better.
On the other side of the ball, what is it about Benny that makes it so difficult for defenses to really decide how to take him down?
He's just a physical runner. I think a lot of his personality plays into how well he does on the field. And I know sometimes Benny can be brash and throw things out there, but I'm going to tell you, man, I was talking to one of the sports information people. I said, I haven't ever been around like a really good running back to a great running back that hadn't had like an unfamiliar edge, like a weirdness about him, you know. So he fits that mold, but he's thick, he's really strong, and I don't think people account for his lower body strength. You can see it when you watch film and you evaluate him as a player, but I just like his mentality, and he's a leader. He's a leader, and they're following his mentality, which says a lot about him, you know. So he's a really good football player, probably under appreciated because of playing at Kentucky, and now it's like the whole country is like, man, this Benny Snell dude can really run the football, and it's like, well, we've known that for like 2.5, 3 years now, you know.
You talk about developing players into professional athletes. From a recruiting standpoint, how much will that help sustain this momentum Kentucky has
It's huge. It's huge because you have a lot of guys that come out of high school that aren't nationally ranked on the ESPN 300 and all of that type of stuff that can find a place for them that will really put that attention into them and developing their bodies. I mean, look, you know, J.J. Watt has said it a million times, but he was a 2-star coming out of high school, and he's been the NFL defensive MVP 2 years. So it's about coaching, it's about training, and then it's about confidence. Like, as a player, I think now these guys ask more questions than when I was in college. There has to be a plan from these coaching staffs about not only that individual direction, but the direction you want to take the program. And the one thing that's been so exciting for me seeing Stoops and what he's done is it's hard to get 18-year-olds to buy in. Like, especially when it's bad, especially when you don't have a corner cover a receiver and you lose to Florida for that, and for them to come back with that mentality like this year we gonna get it done. So, and then Benny had an opportunity to jump pro, Josh had an opportunity to jump pro, and they helped themselves. So Stoops can tell that story as well. But I mean, when you win, like I tell people all the time, winning is the cure all to everything. When it comes to football. So, and you guys know me, if you ever watch, I'm no nonsense. When you win, things happen for you better. But then going back to what I was saying, the investment. I mean, you look at that facility, you look at the importance that football has. It's been an emphasis put on getting this program to be one of those top programs in college. So when you do that, it should manifest good. If it doesn't, a lot of people get fired.
Marcus, you were also a really good tight end. So coming out of high school,
long time ago.
All-American, I want you to speak to C.J. Conrad and where you think he could be a factor in this Georgia game.
He could be huge, especially like, everybody wants to talk about touchdowns and pass catcher, which was a great touchdown for him last week. But inline blocking, man. I mean, when you got backs like Benny, when you got an offensive line like that, he can be that weapon that you utilize that can really surprise people. Nobody in Missouri Stadium thought the ball was going to C.J. Conrad. Nobody. And that's why he was so wide open, and it was an easy toss and catch for Terry. So he's a really good player. The thing that I've noticed more, he's a leader on this football team, and a lot of guys respect him. He has the ear of his coaches as well. So, but like I said, production and winning forces coaches to listen to their players a little bit more.
You got a big game yourself. Your alma mater has a game that's pretty much will win the West for them, possibly. Yep. Just talk about the SEC as a whole, how big this weekend is for the league.
It's huge, man. I mean, look, this is so the college football playoff has created this narrative now that people think, oh, when the last ranking come out, that's when the playoffs start. You're in them now. Like these teams that win these games are in great position to have an opportunity to play in the playoffs. So, I mean, look, I'm excited about LSU and where they are. I'm excited about them having a game of this magnitude. But it's business. I mean, it's, you know, for me, man, you guys know me. I'm a football guy. Like, it's business. I would love to, like, let the fans and everybody, they can be hype about the situation. But I'm like football, so I'm trying to figure out what's the plan to beat Alabama, as opposed to having a lot of people in the stadium screaming and hollering and Death Valley gonna be rocking. A stadium rocking ain't never beat a good team. It has never happened. So it's more about X's and O's and executing and putting your best foot forward and really not changing much. Like the great teams and what Nick Saban has done for so long is kept a consistency in play. Right? Even in losses, they play well. It's just the other team played better that day, which are few and far in between. But, I mean, you have to establish that type of mentality to play in these type of games. I mean, this is a mentally tough football team, right? Going down 14-0 to Missouri, like Missouri was a bad matchup for Kentucky because Missouri was a quick scoring offense who could get up on you by 3 touchdowns, and I don't think Kentucky is built to play from behind like that consistently. And for them to answer that bell in the second half like they did, I mean, it's football. It's X's and O's. It's players making plays. So tomorrow, I can guarantee you 2 things. The team that wins, their best players are going to play better than the other team, and the team that wins, they are going to be the most in execution. They are going to do the better job doing what their plan is than the other team. Any football game in the history of football has been determined by those 2 things.
You talked about a plan. What do you think Kentucky's plan would need to be for them to go out and win tomorrow?
I think you use the blueprint going back to LSU. I mean, you pressure Jake Fromm. And look, Jake had a great game against Florida, and he answered a lot of questions. The first half was a little shaky. Second half, he came out balling. But what I was able to talk to Josh earlier today, and you don't be Superman. Like, that's the plan. The plan is we're 7-1 because we play the way we play, right? And good teams dictate the terms of the game, which Kentucky does a tremendous job at. They get people to play the type of style of football that they want to play. So that should be the plan tomorrow. And it shouldn't change from anything they've done. Even in the loss to Texas A&M wanted to run the scoreboard up. That's what Jimbo Fisher wants to do. Couldn't do it because you realize it's a very good defense. The thing that I don't think is funny, man, because I played in a lot of games, and I think Kentucky is in that vein where you still say in your mind it's Kentucky. And then in the fourth quarter, you either only up by 3 or you down by 3, and you like, but it's Kentucky. Like, we supposed to make a play and beat Kentucky. And this team this year is like, all right, y'all keep believing that. And we just going to be number 1 in scoring defense. We're going to show you all of these draft picks that we have on this football team. And by the fourth quarter and the end of the game, when it hits 0, you leave the field saying, damn, they were a lot better than we thought they were. So, hopefully you can keep sneaking up on folks.